Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks.
My name is Savannah Moore. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. And if there's one thing I've learned in this life, it's this. When you let people walk over you once, they don't stop. They build a whole damn parade. And that's exactly what Karen did, or should I say, Miss Karen Thornton, head of the HOA from hell. She scheduled a wedding at my house, not beside it, not across the street, not down the block, at my house, without asking, without warning, without even a note. And the worst part, she told everyone I agreed. So I showed up, in my bathrobe, hair wrapped, coffee in hand, and the devil in my eyes. And what happened next? Let's just say, her little fairy tale turned into a full-blown horror movie. Let me take you back to the morning it happened. What the hell is this? That was me half insane, standing at the edge of my driveway while an entire wedding crew rolled in like an invasion force. Tents were going up on my front lawn. White chairs covered every inch of my yard. A DJ truck reversed up to my garage like it paid rent. Excuse me? Who are you people? I shouted again, storming out, barefoot and fuming. Who told you this was okay? And that's when she turned around, Karen in her linen pantsuit and sun visor, clipboard in hand, like she was auditioning for a dictator documentary. Oh, Savannah, relax, she said, fake smiling like she hadn't just invaded my private property. It's just for a few hours. You weren't using the space anyway. I blinked. What? You weren't using the space? As if that's how property ownership works. You scheduled a wedding at my house without asking me. She rolled her eyes like I was the unreasonable one. It's for my niece. She's getting married today and the original venue fell through. I had to act fast. The HOA contract allows for communal event hosting under emergency clauses. Snapped. There's nothing communal about my front lawn, Karen. Now by this point, everyone was looking. The caterers, the florist, a group of bridesmaids who suddenly stopped laughing and realized this wasn't a drill, and the photographer, he started taking pictures like it was World War III. Suburbia edition. Karen stepped closer to me, her voice dropping to a condescending whisper. If you ruin this, you'll be hearing from every member of this community. Don't make this about you. I laughed, out loud. You made this about me when you hijacked my lawn and booked a full-scale wedding like it was a hotel. Ballroom? You're being dramatic, she hissed. I sipped my coffee. Slow, deliberate. Then I said, no, I'm being polite. But I promise, Karen, give me 10 more minutes and you'll see what dramatic really looks like. And then I turned around and walked right back inside. She thought I'd stay quiet. She thought she could throw me a couple of smiles and a threat about the HOA and I'd go inside and cry into my cornflakes. But Karen didn't know the kind of woman she was messing with. 10 minutes later, I walked back out in a white terry cloth bathrobe, a clayface mask on, blasting Beyoncé's Sorry from my Bluetooth speaker at full volume. The DJ blinked like he didn't know if he should unplug or keep going. Guests were arriving now, guests who thought this was a luxury wedding venue, not a private residence. And here I was, in a robe, dancing on my porch, throwing birdseed at anyone who got too close. Karen came running, face red, voice trembling. Savannah, stop this. You're ruining everything. Oh, honey, I said. You already did that when you booked my house without so much as a text. You said last month you were going on a retreat. Yeah, for the weekend, not forever, and certainly not to open my yard to strangers. You're being petty. No, I said, stepping down the porch with my robe fluttering in the breeze. I'm being me, a woman who owns this property, who pays the taxes, who mows the lawn and fixes the pipes. You hijacked my home, Karen, and now you're gonna pay for it. The bride came running next. Please, can't we just do the ceremony? We already told everyone it's here, and who told you this was your venue? She looked confused. My Aunt Karen said it was all arranged. Karen snapped, it is arranged. No, sweetheart, I said, pointing to the ground. This is my land, not hers. And right now, you're trespassing. But what are we supposed to do? The bride sobbed, it's my wedding day, and I get that. I really do, I said, softening for just a second. But your aunt didn't ask. She didn't plan. She didn't care. She thought she could steamroll me and throw a party in the rubble. Karen folded her arms. Fine, we'll just call the HOA board. I laughed again. Do it. And I'll call the local news, the police, and the actual property lawyer I just got off the phone with 10 minutes ago. And that's when she finally looked nervous. Because Karen had power, sure, but only when no one challenged it. She thrived in silence, intimidation, that smug smile that said, "You'll never win," but that day, I smiled back, because she picked the wrong woman to bulldoze if you've ever been silenced, steamrolled, or stepped on by someone who thought your voice didn't matter. Let this be your reminder. Stand up, speak louder, show up in your bathrobe if you have to, but never, ever let them take what's yours, because respect isn't given, it's demanded. Asterisk, I wish I could say Karen backed down quietly. That once I stood my ground, she packed up her clipboard and walked away with whatever dignity she had left. Asterisk, but Karen didn't back down. She doubled down. Asterisk, 5 minutes after I told the bride and half the guests to get off my property, a cop car pulled up. Asterisk, blue lights. Sirens right in the middle of the wedding aisle. They'd set up between my garden and the oak tree I planted with my late husband. A place I loved, a place she tried to turn into her niece's photo op. Asterisk, Karen marched toward the officers like she was the mayor. Asterisk, officer, thank goodness. This woman is being completely unreasonable. She's sabotaging a community event. The HOA allows, asterisk, the younger cop raised a hand. Ma'am, slow down. We got a call about a civil disturbance at this address. Asterisk, that would be me, I said, stepping forward. Savannah Moore, owner of this house, this is my address. Asterisk, the second officer, older and clearly sharper, looked me up and down. Then over at Karen. Then at the crowd of confused wedding guests. Asterisk, then at the wedding arch still being hammered into my flower bed. Asterisk, wait. He said, this is a private home. Asterisk, yes, sir, I said. And none of these people were invited. I've never given anyone permission to hold an event here. Asterisk, the younger officer squinted. Not even her. He nodded toward Karen. Asterisk, I shook my head. She's the HOA president. But this is my property line, I pointed. That fence. Mine, that mailbox. Mine, the deed and title, both in my name. You want to see proof? Asterisk, Karen interrupted, desperate. We had a community emergency clause. This is legally allowed. She said she was gone this weekend. Asterisk, I didn't even blink. And even if that clause applied, which it doesn't, you still didn't ask. You didn't check. You didn't confirm. You just assumed I'd stay silent. The older cop exhaled slowly and turned to Karen. Ma'am, you can't host a public gathering on private property without written consent. That's trespassing. Karen went pale. The bride burst into tears. We can't move it. Everyone's already here. Asterisk, I tried to be reasonable. I said, I came out in a robe, not with a rifle, but you didn't listen. You steamrolled me, and now you want sympathy. Asterisk, Karen's voice cracked. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. This is my niece's one special day. I had to make it work. I stared at her, and what about my day, Karen? What if I was grieving today? What if I had family coming? What if I just wanted peace in the home I worked my whole life to buy? Did you think about any of that? Silence. I looked at the officers. I want them off my lawn now, and if they don't leave, I want trespassing charges filed. Asterisk, the older officer nodded. That's your right. Asterisk, Karen exploded. You're going to ruin her wedding? You're a monster. Asterisk, I walked up to her, calm, measured, and said with the coldest smile I've ever given anyone. Asterisk, and you're a thief, Karen. You didn't just steal land. You tried to steal my peace. Within 30 minutes, the yard was chaos. Guests picked up folding chairs in awkward silence. Vendors cursed as they packed up half-set tables and collapsed tents. The DJ powered down the speakers with a loud pop. Bridesmaids tried not to meet my eyes. Asterisk, the bride kept crying. But instead of looking at Karen, she stared at me like I was the villain. And maybe in her eyes, I was asterisk, but I didn't owe that girl anything. I owed myself the respect no one else offered me, and still, part of me watching her in that white dress, whispering why me, over and over again, felt a twinge of something. Asterisk, not guilt, but sadness. She didn't deserve this. Karen did. Asterisk, so just as the last chair was being dragged off my lawn, I called out, asterisk, wait, everyone froze. The bride looked up, makeup ruined, mascara lines like war paint. I took a breath. There's a public park 5 blocks from here. Big space, quiet. I know the guy who manages the grounds. I'll call him if they don't have another event today. Maybe you can still get married legally, peacefully, and without trespassing. Karen looked at me like I'd grown 2 heads. The bride just blinked. You'd do that. Asterisk, I nodded. For you, not her. Asterisk, Karen stepped forward. Savannah, That's not necessary, asterisk. I cut her off. You don't get to speak anymore. She shut up. I made the call. Asterisk, the park manager owed me a favor. 20 minutes later, the bride and groom were driving away in a rental van loaded with decorations and tension. Asterisk and Karen, she stayed behind, furious, humiliated, speechless for once. Asterisk when the lawn was finally empty again, quiet, messy, but mine. I walked to the front porch and sat down, still in my robe, still barefoot, asterisk, and for the first time that day, I smiled because that wasn't just about a wedding, it was about power, respect, boundaries. Asterisk, and if you've ever lived under an H, you know exactly how people like Karen operate, asterisk. They hold meetings without notices. They slap fines on flower pots. They call themselves community leaders while tearing neighbors apart behind their backs. Asterisk, but that day, asterisk, Karen Thornton learned something. She could have her little rules and her little clipboards, but this house was mine, and no matter how many people she tried to fool, she couldn't rewrite the deed. Asterisk. Asterisk, you'd think that after getting humiliated in front of 2 cops, 30 guests, and a whole wedding party, Karen would finally leave me alone. But you don't know Karen. By Monday morning, a bright pink violation notice was taped to my mailbox. In all caps, asterisk, greater than unapproved alterations to front lawn. HOA citation. Hashtag KTO1. Fine, $250, asterisk, no return address. No signature. Just a threat, dressed up like official paperwork. I ripped it off and laughed out loud. Asterisk, this woman had just hosted an illegal wedding in my backyard, and now she wanted to fine me for a few flower pots she knocked over? That was the final straw. I'd spent the weekend angry. I'd spent the wedding day defensive. But that Monday morning, I got focused. Because people like Karen thrive when we stay quiet. They bully. They intimidate. They bluff their way into control, asterisk, but when you push back with facts, with receipts, with the truth, they crack. So I opened my laptop and I started digging. The HOA documents were buried deep in an old email folder. The ones they send once a year, but hope nobody reads. I downloaded everything. Charter documents, bylaws, officer rules, meeting minutes. Asterisk, guess what I found? Karen hadn't been officially elected HOA president in 3 years. The last election never happened. No public vote, no nominations. Quorum, just silence. Asterisk, she'd been acting as the self-declared president ever since the actual one moved away. No one challenged it because no one cared enough to dig until now. I did more than dig. I printed, I highlighted, I emailed every single homeowner. Subject line, asterisk, you've been lied to. Read before paying another fine. Asterisk inside, I laid it all out. Her unauthorized status, the fake fines, asterisk, the illegal use of my yard, a time-stamped photo of the wedding setup, and the police report I filed. I didn't scream. I didn't rant. I simply told the truth. With receipts. It took 2 days. Then came the knocks. Asterisk first, Mrs. Applegate, from 3 houses down. She thought her fine for her unapproved wind chimes had been real. Karen made her take them down. Asterisk then Mr. Rowan. Karen fined him for painting his shutters blue, but he'd already gotten permission from the board before Karen took over. Asterisk then, the Tanners. Karen told them they had to get rid of their dog. Not because of rules, but because it barked too loud for her. Asterisk one by one. The neighborhood woke up, and just like that, Karen's fake little empire started to collapse. Asterisk, the emergency HOA meeting was scheduled that Friday at the town center. Karen showed up in pearls and a blazer, pretending like nothing had happened, clipboard in hand, fake smile in place, still playing queen. I walked in behind her, and to my surprise, the place was packed. Asterisk 30 households showed up, half the neighborhood. Most had never even been to a meeting before. Asterisk, but today, they were wide awake. Asterisk Karen stood at the podium and began. Let's call this meeting to order. Asterisk no, I said, loud and clear. You don't get to do that anymore. Asterisk, she stiffened. Excuse me? Asterisk, I walked to the front and dropped a stack of printed documents on the table. Per HOA Bylaw 2.3, no officer may act in an executive role without a valid election within 24 months. You've exceeded that term by over a year. You are not the president, Karen. You're a fraud, gasps murmurs. Asterisk Mrs. Applegate whispered. She's right. It's in the papers. Asterisk Karen turned red. This is slander. Asterisk no, I said, staring her down. This is justice. Then I turned to the crowd. I move for an emergency vote to dissolve the current acting board and elect a new one. Fairly, transparently, and by the book. Hands went up, dozens. Then a slow chant started from the back of the room. Vote, vote, vote. That night we elected a new board. Asterisk, I didn't run. I didn't need to. Asterisk, but I watched as Karen was escorted out, without her clipboard, without her title, and without a single ounce of the power she used to abuse. Asterisk, she glared at me as she left, and I didn't say a word. Because she already knew. She messed with the wrong woman. Asterisk, you know? People always talk about standing up for yourself like it's some big Hollywood moment, like one day you wake up strong, walk into the spotlight, and deliver some perfect speech that changes everything. Asterisk, but the truth is, standing up for yourself starts with a whisper, a no, this isn't right. Asterisk, it starts with one woman refusing to be walked on. Even in a bathrobe, if someone's been taking advantage of you, your kindness, your silence, your time, let this be your reminder. You are allowed to take your power back. Asterisk, it doesn't matter if they have a title, a clipboard, or a fake smile. They don't get to decide your worth. You do. Asterisk, stand your ground, speak your truth, and when the moment comes, don't be afraid to show up in your bathrobe and ruin everything they tried to steal. Asterisk, you'd think after being kicked off the HOA board in front of half the neighborhood, Karen would crawl away quietly. But no, people like her don't just leave, they linger. Like mildew in your basement, hard to spot at first. Then suddenly, everywhere it started small. One morning, I walked outside to find garbage dumped on my driveway, bags torn open, coffee grounds everywhere. The whole place smelled like rotten fruit. Asterisk, then came the noise. A leaf blower revving at 6 a.m. in front of my house every morning. Like clockwork, petty stuff, annoying but not illegal. But I knew who was behind it, and sure enough, a week later, I saw her. Asterisk standing across the street with her arms crossed, sipping iced coffee, grinning like the Grinch. Asterisk, I should have ignored her. I should have walked back inside, but I didn't. I marched right up to her. Asterisk, are you seriously stalking me now? Asterisk, Karen smirked. Just enjoying the neighborhood I helped build. Unlike you, I care how this place looks. Asterisk, I laughed. Oh, right? Your great contribution, bullying your neighbors into submission. Asterisk, her smile tightened. You might have won the little HOA vote, but don't forget, I still know people, important people. And that's when it clicked. She wasn't done. She was planning something. Asterisk, 2 days later, the city zoning department showed up at my door. Asterisk, apparently, there was an anonymous complaint that I was running a commercial business out of my home. They wanted to inspect my garage, my backyard, and my spare room. I let them in. They found nothing. Asterisk, but the message was clear. Karen wasn't playing checkers. She was playing chess, and she was coming for checkmate. Asterisk, I kept my head down. I stayed polite. But behind the scenes, I got to work. See, Karen always loved to talk, especially when she thought no one was listening, and over the years, she'd said a lot. Asterisk to me, 2 neighbors on her HOA Facebook page, on group emails, even in those fake HOA newsletters, she used to mail out asterisk and thanks to screenshots and forward happy neighbors. Asterisk, I had a digital paper trail that painted a very clear picture. Karen threatening fines with no legal basis. Karen shaming elderly neighbors for messy lawns. Asterisk, Karen pocketing HOA dues for events that never happened. Then I got the real gift. An email thread, forwarded to me by Mrs. Applegate, where Karen accidentally CC'd the wrong Barbara. Asterisk in it. She bragged about using leftover wedding decorations for a side hustle event she hosted at the local country club. Asterisk, the kicker. She charged for it. So not only had she hosted a wedding in my backyard without permission, she also repurposed HOA-funded materials to make money. That was all I needed. I packaged everything, the threats, the receipts, the fake citations, the misuse of funds, and sent them straight to our town's local news tip line. Asterisk, did I think they'd care? Honestly, no. But 2 days later, I got a call. Asterisk, hi. This is Jenna from Channel 6 Investigates. Can we speak to you about the HOA fraud happening in your neighborhood? They showed up with cameras the following weekend. Asterisk, I almost felt bad almost. Karen was pruning her bushes in full view when the van pulled up. She squinted at the logo on the side, and when the reporter stepped out, she froze. The cameras rolled. Asterisk, the reporter turned to me first. Can you walk us through how this all started? Asterisk, oh, you mean the part where she scheduled a wedding? In my backyard without telling me? Or the part where she fined my neighbor for wind chimes? Asterisk, Karen dropped her shears. You're lying. This is harassment. Asterisk, the reporter turned to her. Ma'am, do you deny misusing HOA funds for private events? Asterisk Karen blanched. I don't know what you're talking about, asterisk. But the receipts said otherwise. And so did the screenshots. The reporter smiled. We'd be happy to review your financial reports on camera. Asterisk Karen turned and stormed into her house, slamming the door so hard it shook the front porch. That night, the story aired, primetime. Asterisk, the headline. Asterisk HOA horror. Neighborhood president accused of fraud, harassment, and backyard hijacking. Asterisk, they used a still shot of Karen yelling in her yard, hair frizz, face red, hands mid-flail. My phone blew up. Neighbors, friends, even my boss. Asterisk, everyone wanted to know what happened. Asterisk, but what mattered most? Karen was done. That same week, she got slapped with a cease and desist from the actual city zoning board, and when the new HOA board requested a full audit of past funds, she moved out the following weekend, didn't even say goodbye. Asterisk, just loaded up a U-Haul and vanished. Sometimes, I still walk past her old house. The new owners are a sweet retired couple who bake pies and wave every time they see me. No fake citations. No trash on the lawn. Number 6 a.m. leaf blowers. Just peace. And you know what? That's the thing about people like Karen. They think they're untouchable until someone stands up and says, asterisk enough. It's funny, when I first moved into this neighborhood, I thought the biggest problem I'd face was maybe a stray cat digging in my flower beds, maybe some nosy neighbors or loud teenagers once in a while. But I never expected Karen. I never thought someone would try to run my entire life or take over my home like it was a public park. Asterisk, I never expected to have to fight just to live in peace. Asterisk, and yet, here we are. Asterisk, a full year later, the sun is shining, my backyard is mine again, and the neighborhood. Well, it's never looked better, because when Karen left, she didn't just pack up her garden statues and her clipboard full of violations, she took all the fear with her, all the fake power she used to manipulate people. Asterisk, and something strange happened after that. People started talking to each other again. The neighbor across the street, who Karen once threatened over a non-compliant fence, actually invited us all over for a barbecue. Asterisk, the elderly couple on the corner, they finally got to repaint their house without Karen breathing down their necks about approved shades of beige. It's like the whole street exhaled, like we were all holding our breath while she ruled with that smug little smile. And now, asterisk, now, we laugh louder. We wave more. We live here again. Sometimes people ask me, why didn't you just let it go? Why not just move? And I get it. Easier to walk away. Easier to start fresh than pick a fight with someone who's convinced they're queen of the cul-de-sac. But here's what I tell them. Because if I moved, she'd win. Asterisk, she'd keep going. House after house. Yard after yard, leaving behind silence and resentment in her path. Asterisk, and I wasn't about to be another name on her list of people who gave up. No, I fought back because someone had to. Asterisk, because people like Karen count on you being too polite, too scared, too tired to speak up. They use fake rules and real intimidation. They wrap their cruelty in concern and their greed in regulations. Asterisk, and then they smile, like they're doing you a favor, but not anymore. Asterisk, the truth is, I didn't just take my yard back. I took my power back. The right to say no. The right to push back. The right to be heard. Asterisk, and I know someone out there is going through the same thing. Maybe not with an HOA bully. Maybe it's a toxic coworker, or a fake friend, or a controlling partner. Asterisk, whoever it is, whatever it looks like, let this be your reminder. You don't need permission to stand up for yourself. Asterisk, you don't need approval to reclaim your peace, and you are not overreacting. You are responding to disrespect, to injustice, to someone who forgot that boundaries exist. So to anyone listening, I'll say this one last time. Don't wait for permission to protect what's yours. Whether it's your home, your voice, or your dignity, stand up, speak, out, even if your hair's a mess, even if you're wearing a bathrobe. Asterisk, even if your voice shakes. Asterisk, because the second you do, they lose their power. Asterisk, my name is Olivia Carter. I'm from Cedar Falls, Iowa. I didn't ask for a war with my HOA president, but when she tried to hijack my home, humiliate me, and turn our neighborhood into her personal kingdom. Asterisk, I gave her a front row seat to her own downfall, right in my backyard, and I didn't even have to change out of my slippers. Asterisk, asterisk, if you ever feel small, remember this, even the biggest bully can't win forever, not when the truth is louder. Don't stay silent. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Stand your ground, because sometimes the loudest statement you'll ever make is simply showing up.